You see that? It's a grin on my face. I'm in the honey house, obviously. Something to show you. First of all, look at that. We have water. Secondly, another important thing to show you. You see that? Certificate of conformity. We were connected 2 days ago and we have electricity. 2 things, 1 honey house, 6 months of nothing, then both happen in 2 days. Well, as you can imagine, I'm really, really delighted and above all relieved because that means that I can extract in here. So I'll be using the new extraction line. I have run it. Everything works, but I haven't had time to really consolidate it. It's going to flip the camera around and we're going to go through a few pieces that just need a bit of attention, but I'll show you about that. So every part of the machine seems to operate absolutely perfectly. I've had the pump running, which is the bottom part. This is the circulation pump that pumps water around the system, okay, literally like that in that direction. And then it pumps water to these heated blades that vibrate when the machine is running, because the frames drop down into here, onto the blades, each one, and then they are decapped and all the chime falls down. So that part works. This part is the heated reservoir, the hot water reservoir that is circulated. So if you look, the pump is part of that. So basically there's a water out just underneath here and a water in there, and the whole thing circulates around like that. So long story short, it heats up to 80 degrees, works fine. This part I've just taken off because this is the expansion chamber and I had to refill this with water. So what happens is when this gets to temperature, as water increases in temperature, as you know, it expands. So the moment the water level is about there, but I just wanted to know how much it's going to expand. So a little bit of water comes out. It hasn't been heated up for a while, so that's why there's a little bit of rust in the water, but we're going to put some inhibitor in that will mean it will never get any further. But we use distilled water as well. So that's great, but all this runs. So the decapper runs, the motor and the motor for the wax press, the honey rocket works, the electrics work inside the crane. All absolutely brilliant. I can even show you that. All I need is compressed air in here. So as you can see, it's all wired up. Light comes on, just need the compressed air to connect up the compressor now. But that's another thing, all working. Moving down the machine, we've got a lovely fuse board here. We've got a test switch there that is your circuit breaker, and all these are off now because I turned it off yesterday. The motor works for the machine, but I've got to put the security system back on because I took that off so I can access the inside of the machine while I was just having a look at it and getting used to it. So that all works as well. So that comes along, that works on its timer perfectly. Come around this side and we have the honey pump, that works fine. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 motors on this line. They all work separately, but they all work. And I think the total output is over 5,000 watts when it's all running, but it doesn't all run at the same time. Obviously, once the water's heated up to 80 degrees, it clicks on and clicks off, all those kind of things. So we have inverters here for all the motors. They all work absolutely fine. I didn't know how they worked before, but now I've had to explain by my electrician. It's brilliant. But we have power. Everything is brilliant. All these ceiling sockets work. Those are one circuit of 3,000 watt maximum. That's another one there and one there. So that will supply electricity to my wax melter when I have that in this corner. That's all done. My warming cabinet works perfectly. Tested that out and it all works brilliant. I used that the other day, absolutely fantastic. And above all, I have power to use my creamer, which is the 2000 watt heater on the back. And that powers that really well. So I plugged all these different combinations in, everything works. Everything is running as it should be. Regarding the sink, I have an extra tap here. We're gonna have a hose fitting on a roller, so I can then use a hose anywhere in the honey house to wash the floor down, because obviously there's a drain running right down there. So that means I can flush this out and empty the place out when I have finished, or if it gets dirty or needs a wash, blah, blah, blah. It's all coming together. Not much more next in the warming room, but those are gonna be going like pronto because I'm not feeding at the moment. They're gonna go back into up on the mezzanine out of the way. I bought my old radiator in here. This will bring the temperature up easily, but I can use that now. So when I bring my honey in next week, start to extract it, everything should be running. Just lots to do. Got to give all this, move all these tools out now. We've finished in here. All this is going to be clean. The whole place needs a deep clean. And then we're away. You can see I've started cleaning some of it. I know this isn't much, but you can see the level of dust that was in here. And it was going to need 2 or 3 cleans to really get this dust off. But in some respects, that's a good thing because I know what I've got to do. And now we will have, as well as cold water, we will have hot water as from Monday next week. So the water I've got is just cold water, but we are going to put a temporary supply just over there, a temporary old second-hand water heater for now, because along this wall is going to be my heat pump, the internal module. The external module will obviously be the other side of this wall, outside where the heat exchange will happen. Inside we'll have one internal module, and then we'll have a big hot water tank. And then this little wash hand basin is going to be on the wall here. So that'll be a way of washing your hands in this hallway. So I've also got my fire extinguishers mounted properly. I'm going to get a couple more as well for upstairs. So I'm kind of really getting organized now and getting things together. So on the walls, you will see all these. These are a bit ugly, but they all have proper capping nuts I'm going to put on after. But these are the other side of my shelves that I did here as well. So these are the cap nuts I've got. They look really lovely. And I did a really good job of this, and it took ages to do. And I'm beginning to fill it up now. But the only way of mounting these racks properly was having through bolts. So what I did was I got stainless steel rod, and I had to go through the wall. And I made a couple of mistakes. But these are the nuts that are going to be on the finishing nuts. I did make a mark on the wall there. You can see there's a lot of bolts that come through. And I made another mark there. But that can be touched up. But there you go, that's what I've done, that's what I've been doing. It took ages to get all that spot on, but it's been drilled through 100 mil, 10 centimeters through the wall each time. But it doesn't matter, it's done, it's up, it's running. I'm gonna adjust the distance between each shelf to according to what I need over time. But it works and it's fine, it'll take a heavy load now. So that is done. One more thing is, here's my water that comes into the building. It will be all this corner, you see. So that's my mains water in, this one, and then it goes off to my cold and my hot will have hot water coming from the heat pump, which will be here. But for the time being, we're going to run a temporary supply, as I said, just here. So that will be done next week. But the problem is, next week there's only a 3-day week, and I think the following week in France there's a 3-day week. So my plumber will be here Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And hopefully we'll get the hot water done. And we're also done a few things in the shed. Finally, my sink here is connected. So I have a sink in the garage. Look at that, with a big spider in the, in the sink. But my point is, we're advancing well. This is in now and done. Okay, we had a little leak under the sink yesterday, but that's just because of the old sink being connected to new fixings. But that's done. And then this pipe next week will be hot and cold going up to here. And then this will be 2 taps outside that I can disconnect in the winter. Will be a mixer on the wall, so I have hot and cold water here outside. What an absolute luxury. So that will finish off the garage. So I have hot water and cold water at the sink, hot and cold water this side to do what I want with, but then it means I can also connect up a karcher or a pressure washer to here and have water and electricity here to do all that. So there's my electric plug here. All works, lights work. Everything is really bright now, believe it or not, because before we were running on such a long lead that I couldn't even put the lights on the mezzanine. The problem was there wasn't a fault up there. It was actually the length of cable that caused it to trip out because it was just too underpowered. So as you can see, things have happened and we will be extracting here starting next week. And it's getting really exciting. I'm not doing much else in terms of work in here. I'm just getting it deep cleaned and getting it ready. There is one other issue that I've got to deal with. And that is that I still will be using my old Koenigen extractor. The reason being is I have a certain number of frames that are like this, but they are an extra 4 mil too long. And these are the new type of frame that Nico have been using, and I've got probably 75 to 80% of these in all my colonies. But because I've got some in use this year and it looks like we've got quite a bit of honey to extract, what has happened is I need to extract those as well. So, but I can't run them through my machine because my machine will not cope with them because it's just too long for it and it's been set up for the standard size. So I'm going to eventually run those out the system, but it won't be this year. When I extract this autumn from the summer, that will be the final extraction of those frames, and I'm bringing new ones in, and I am going to go through all my supers this autumn, winter, and work on them and invest a bit of time. So then that next year I will have only the right size frames for that extractor. So I will be able to use my old extractor just here. And then we're going to have a pipe that runs directly into the sump, the same as this one. So we'll have almost 2 extractors into one sump, and then the honey will pump up into the barrel or however we decide to do it. But it should work quite well actually, because there's enough room for everything. I can have my extraction table here, I can have my extractor just there, and it will empty into the sump and everything will be sweet. So that's actually quite great because I've got power above to run my extractor. I'll have no leads across the floor. I'll be able to come past and still run everything how it should be. And because I'm so lucky to have all this room, it will still function quite well as a extraction room. So we have got quite a bit of honey to extract. That's really, really good. And I'm looking forward to finally using the machine. It's such a big relief for me as well that I've connected up the machine and it all works, because it's nearly 2 years since I actually purchased it and a guarantee runs out. So they say, but they said they'd honour repairs if it hasn't been used and just been sitting waiting to be used. Thing is, I've kept the room really dry in here. I have dehumidifier running permanently. There it is down the end. I bought a couple for here so that when we extract, we have constantly the air drying, and that will help pull some of the moisture out of the honey, and it does work really well that. So yeah, loads going on, lots to do. But I'm just so relieved that I've got electricity and I've got water now that will also be hot water when I need it. That next week when I start to extract, we will be up and running. It's all so exciting. Well, it's the start of the annual first spring cut. I haven't done it up till now because I've been so busy running around trying to keep bees in boxes, which I feel I've done a fairly good job so far. But I put all my supers on without queen excluders because I wanted to give the bees space, because I was late and the weather was so far advanced and the bees were just exploding. And now I've got to go around and put queen excluders and everything and cut everything. So that's the next 6 days job. But if I have 6 days, I reckon I can do the 12 apiaries in the 6 days. It's going to be a lot of work, but then I can harvest in 10, 11 days time. But I put these supers on first at this apiary and the one up there. So I'm going to cut all the grass. It's growing well. This will all be cut for hay, you see, in the summer. So I have a track I use, just come down here and around this old well building. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. I know that it's going to be a lot of work. I suppose we just better get on with it. This is the machine I've just used. It's a shuttle mower by Orek, which is actually a Japanese make, but it's well known in Europe. I bought this, well actually the funny thing was this machine, it costs about 5 grand new, and it's a lot of money, but I tell you what, it's lasted and it's still cutting beautifully. It's a single blade. I've got to change the bearing in the wheel. That bearing's gone inside but that's nothing. But the machine is incredible. It's a single blade inside. It's a mulching blade, but man, does it cut. It should have a front cover on there, a grill, to protect people's feet. But honestly, you don't want to be in front of it anyway, and to stop throwing stuff out. But it is an amazing machine. So the story is, I used to use this with a client, and the client bought it and I kept it at their place and could use it when I want. I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I'd rented a similar machine from the similar company before. Slugs, nice, burnt slugs. They then left and went back to the UK and I said, can I buy it off you? So we came to an arrangement. That was like 5 years ago, and I'm still, or 4 years ago, I'm still using it now. Once you've got everything cut initially and got your brush down, this stuff will tackle brush, but it will stall the blade every now and again. But if you got your stuff to this height just before you cut it, it will cope with it. So you can see here what I've cut today. Obviously I've trimmed underneath, but all the bits in between, it has cut pretty well. And it really struggled up the top here because the grass was just a little bit too long. I'll just show you this. You can see where it's been cutting though. Phenomenal machine. The blade actually needs to sharpen as well. So considering the blade's not sharp, and I've just used it today to do all up here, it's pretty impressive. And obviously I've trimmed the edges here just now, but and I left those bits because I'm going to put a whole new load of racking in. Watch this spacecraft, lol. A whole new load of racking here. These all need replacing. They need hiring off the ground. I'm going to put a new rack in here because the majority of times I have hives here, they are basically nukes. So I'm going to change all of this and do a better racking system with posts that are higher off the ground, because the other ones are just finished now. It's a good time to do it. I used to use this in my Mini Plus, and it's a good area, but it's very damp and the grass grows like crazy. So I'll leave a gap where those furthest ones are and bring them to this way a little bit when I reinstall the new racking, which I may well do earlier than I'm anticipating, because it might be a good thing to get it done sooner. So the grass is cut, it did the job. I can get in and out of the apiary, it's brilliant. When I park here, it's dry because it's on a slightly raised part. But that machine is really, really good. But like all machines, I know it's got an infinite life. We'll just see how long it lasts. But I've changed the blade only once in the 5 years I've had it. It's just an absolute beast. It just winds through everything. As long as you know the machine and you take your time with it, it's brilliant. So this is my brush cutter. I've shown you this last year. It's a Still. There's the make. FR 460 TCM, and you can get attachments for this if you want. You see that comes off at the handle, and I've never done them, but I've got a similar older machine that has the attachments, which I've actually just had service and is all up and running, but I've never used it. It's just an emergency one. But I've also got this new cord to try. So the great thing about this cord is this is a double head, and you tap on the ground and it feeds the cord out. But I always used to use this size cord, but I tell you why I like this cord. When you wind the bobbin, wind the bobbin up, wind, yeah, I'll stop right there, don't worry. Yeah, I've had kids. When you wind the bobbin up and you have to poke this end in to get it to catch on the bobbin as you wind the new cord on, this stuff bends really easily, but is also really strong. Whereas the other cord that I used to use, which was this one here, this one really struggled to, I had to bend it with pliers and spent ages trying to feed this in, and it never really gripped, where this stuff is brilliant. So this is made by a company called Vortex. It's 3.3 mil, 109 meters, professional grade. I suppose it's a European one, this one, but it really does the job. And I don't know what it's like for the environment. I'm not into all that, because strimming is strimming and you need something to do the job. I don't use weed killers. I'd rather use this. So it's not good having bits of plastic flying off in the environment, but I think it will break down eventually. And as you use this up, it frays at the end and you just tap on the ground and more comes out. And it really is a good piece of kit. But obviously you need a decent machine to use 3.3 mil. And that's the machine I got. This is its second year and it's really a great machine. And I love it. And I prefer a backpack strimmer because it's just more centralized. I find the single strimmer is a little bit more one-sided and it gives you more of a backache, but this seems to be okay. You can do strimming for all day with this and it does a good job. So there we are. You know, it is what it is. You need a certain amount of kit. You need a trailer really when you're a beekeeper. I had the lights upgraded on this as well a couple of years ago, and these are the LED lights, and they're absolutely brilliant. The actual lights on this are better than the lights on my truck. So it's a perfect little trailer for what I need. It's not designed for carrying heavy loads. I think it's like 400 kilos max, but my machine is only like maybe 110, 120 kilos. And often I'll use it to take extra hives bodies with me or supers and stuff like that. But overall, it's a great little trailer, but you kind of need it, you know? And I find the flatbed combination for me works really well, because I know when I can get in and out of apiaries. I know when I can't, if you know what I mean. So I limit myself to that, and having the twin wheels on the back does increase my charge availability. I can take 1.6 tons in this, I think. I've got to be careful though, because any more than that and you're caught and you're for the high jump, they really don't like it over here. But there you go, that's the rules, we stick to those. But that's quite a considerable bit, 1.6 tons. So that's all right for me when I carry gravel and stuff like that. The old truck's getting a bit old now, but it's garaged inside every night now, so it does do a pretty good job. So up clearing this apiary, it was here the other day. Easy to cut, it's still the right height, luckily it's brilliant, but I'm gonna remove this fencing as well because there's no horse in here anymore. So I brought the strimmer, I've been strimming around the hives, and now I'm doing the hives, and I wanted to show you this. This one was swarmed when I first came in the spring, about 4 weeks ago. We got a lovely new queen laying away in there, so they've got a queen excluder. I'm adding excluders to all of these. And I'm like, what the hell? So this one, I take the top off. This was given one box after it was a transfer from the spring. I'm thinking one box would be plenty. So I lift up the top, and what do I find? The top is full of honey. Okay, fair enough. I'm thinking there must be something, maybe they've gone past the super. So I lift up the super, and it's totally rammed, and she's hardly laid in the super, but a little bit, and 2 middle frames. I mean, this thing I've been doing with not adding the queen excluder till later. You can see the queen excluder there now. I've just added that in. I need just to straighten those up, but I just wanted to show you this, that there is no queen cells in there. I've been through the whole box very quickly, but nothing. I don't know how these colonies, all these 6 here, haven't swarmed yet. I just don't know. It's beyond logic. But to give you some idea of the flow, the swarm that I had about 2 weeks ago in that grass over there, in that field of corn, field of wheat, here it is. Look at that. Every frame completely drawn up. You see the wax? All that honey. That's what the flow has been like. And it was rubbish weather as well for 2 days. So as well as having a week of rubbish weather, this 5 to 8 days of really good weather has made a massive difference. And I tell you, I love getting the grass cut and get it all tidy, but it's epic to go around all the apiaries. All good news, though. It's a good problem to have, but our flow will literally finish in the next couple of days. The temperature's due to fall. It's because it's been still and warm and sunny for a week. And even though most of the canola is finished, there's a load of apples around here, and there's a load of the final spring flowers that are like hawthorn that are just finishing now. And then we've got the big gap that starts till June, but that gives us time to make some queens, make some splits, harvest the honey, and run around like a headless chicken until we can't feel anything and we're totally numb from work. But that is what it is. That's beekeeping in a nutshell. Happy bees, sunshine, who would want more? This is what it's all about. Living the dream. Good harvest here. So this is full, that one's full with a little bit brood in the middle 2 frames. That's empty, and I doubt they'll fill it, but the great thing is now when I come next week to harvest, they will basically, all the brood will be nearly hatched, if not very soon, and I will have a spare super on already. That's what I'm doing, but these, nothing's gone here apart from one in the far corner. I think that's sworn. But I've just opened this one up. This is what we're getting. You can see it's just rammed. They haven't quite built that outside frame there, so maybe there is a little bit of space here, but there's not a lot. I think I could have put another super on these, and you know, man, they would have filled it as well. Look at that lovely white, absolutely gorgeous.